Hey internets, it's Jake. Hopefully you can hear me all right. I checked before the stream that the music was working, so I'm assuming my microphone is working. If you cannot hear me, just give me a shout out in the chat and we'll troubleshoot that real quick. But yeah, so here we are. This is Guild Artisan MTD Live, Guild Artisan. And we are, thank you, Lil Red Wing. And I'm going to assume that's Night Witch. Or Nidge Twitch. I don't know. Thank you, though. Good to see you here. So if you're new to Guild Artisan, this is me doing what I've done for years on YouTube, doing terrain crafting, except instead of shooting and editing the videos, I'm now just doing it live. I would be sitting here crafting anyway, so I'm bringing you along. It's a cold evening here in Michigan, so I've got some piping hot coffee in my mug that I promised every time I use this mug on stream, I would promote Porch Pottery. Check them out on Facebook. Good friend Cassie handmade this mug, and her fiance James bought me the mug. So it makes my coffee taste extra special. We are about to start for the next 3 hours while we wait for Critical Role to start. Going to do some continued work on the Limes Tower of the Lower Rhine themed dice tower. And I'll show you the reference pic here. As I said, you guys are, some of you might be new here, so let's take a look. This is actually, I zoomed in on it, so let me zoom out. We're working on this top section here. So let me take this pic and fix it. Whoops. I think I just screwed up the perspective. So bear with me a moment. Here we go. This is what we're working on. It's this tower right here. Now, the tower, as you'll see in a moment, is, hey, I will accept that praise. Jolt of Personality is better than Critical Role. I thank you for that. So, anyway, this is the tower we're working on. I've made some modifications. This door that you see pretty much is at the base level of the tower in order for it to function as a dice tower. So, we are going to get started. For some reason, I've got gunk on my glasses that I need to have cleared up. I need to make sure this lighting is in the appropriate spot as well. Let's make sure the work surface is illuminated. That just made it worse. Watched your Tomb of the Mummy with Matt and company a few days ago. Such a great game. You're a great GM and the terrain. Damn. Thank you. I truly appreciate that. If you stuck around for the very end, you may have heard me say this, but if not, I'll say it now. The Tomb of the Mummy Lord is not 100% complete. I'm actually going to be recladding the entire exterior, putting a base on it, and there's a little bit of interior touch-up work that needs to be done. But in the not too distant future, I'm going to set up the terrain next to me on the desk here, and I'm going to take you, the viewer, in a live stream on a live, like MTV Crib style tour of the tomb, room by room, and talk about the encounters and everything that went into building it. Yeah, that it took me, I estimate that I put over 100 hours into the tomb building it. I hand etched over 10,000 bricks in the process of building it, and it was completely built from scratch. But that's not what we're working on today. I'm going to switch to our picture-in-picture overhead view here. All right. Little Red Wing there. I've got to get the players nailed down, and we will have that third session of Tomb of Horrors. I'm actually thinking about running it again right here on Twitch for a new group of players. I've actually got some players queued up to play in it. So, if you haven't seen the pics, you can follow Mini Terrain Domain on Twitter, where I post progress updates. Also, head over to the Facebook. Well, if you look in all the corners of the screen here, you'll see all my handles and locations where you can find Mini Terrain Domain. Keep up with progress photos. Plus, I'll do high quality glamour shots when it's all done. So, I had intended on... Where'd my knife go? I had intended on... Last week we put the hinges on these doors. And I had intended to put the little rings on, and I couldn't find them. And I just spent a fair amount of time trying to find that stupid little... The same thing the hinges are in. It's these little plastic things. It was on my desk when I rearranged, and I don't know what I did with it. It got stuck in a tote somewhere. I'm still trying to find some of that stuff. So we're going to delay, of course, on the pull rings for the door. So I'm trying to decide. We glued the walkway in place. That we had previously cut. So what I'm doing right now is I'm just checking to make sure we're secured. There's going to be a lot more structure pieces going into this walkway, but we glued it to each one of these posts. Oh, we didn't quite get... Looks like it's actually hovering. You can see it. It's actually hovering above that piece there. But if I attach it, what I'll need to do is put some glue, slip some glue in there. Yeah, this is a loose piece. I'll slip some glue in there and press it up against it. If we press down, it's going to bow. So I'm going to put them... Actually, I'm going to mark that with marker so I don't forget to do that. This is all going to get painted over, so if I use some pink there to draw attention to that one. As we continue around, checking. There's another one. I'll mark that too. I want to make sure everything's nice and firm for the... and it might not matter because I'm going to put a fascia board all across here. And then there's going to be another one that probably goes from here down. And I'll actually etch that to look like a couple extra boards. Because one of the things we looked at last week, going over to the reference picture, and I'm going to zoom in on this again. Since we're working in this area, if you look at these railings, there's these places where the cross braces stick out from that fascia board. And I did not put those... I didn't plan for those to actually be there, but because to make it structurally sound, I think what I'm going to do is put a fascia board, like I said, I'm going to put a fascia board along this piece to even it up, to flush it up with this, and then I'm going to put a real thin one to kind of cover up where these pins are, and cut across that. Then I'm going to put another thin fascia that's going to be wide enough to cover both of those, but we're going to make it look like two separate boards. And I may actually either etch into, or what I might even do is cut what looks like little ends, or even I could actually do it, but I probably use some sticky foam to just get it to come out like a 1/16 of an inch, and it will extend out past, so it'll look like these are going through. So we're going to cheat it in that sense. I think we made it all the way. Oh, there's another one. So not bad. Out of all of these, which I think there was 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. There's 32 of these cross braces. Only 3 of them didn't get firmly glued down. The other thing we're going to do that's going to kind of cheat it is you can see we don't actually have any corner braces in here, and there's this ugly corner piece. Once all the fascia pieces are in place, I'm actually going to use... Wow, that looks... Oh, that's camera angle. I'm making it look... It does kind of look crooked. That's weird. It did not come out square. Huh. It doesn't show up when you're looking at it, though. It's hidden in the structure. Interesting. It's weird because it's an optical illusion, I guess. Anyway, we're going to cut out a foam, faux boards that we're going to put in place here to fill in that space. All right. Let's see. That fascia is not going to be even either. It looks like some of these boards didn't. I wonder if I can cut those. I might have to press it into a couple of them just to make it work. I don't know what the heck happened. So that side's all even, and that side's all even. This side's not quite even, and this side's not quite even. But we'll make it work. When it's all done, you won't even know. All right, so I think we're going to work on the rough. We talked last week. Get my notebook out here. We talked last week about doing this similar to the pyramid structure. I talked about how I made the base of the pyramid structure. Because the problem that we're having is solving how to attach the roof onto here with only those points of contact all the way across. We're not going to get much glue. So we're going to create a sort of interior infrastructure that's this width that's this width that also has an angle on it that's going to give us a lot more surface area. So we're going to need to measure out... Oh, where did my little tiny ruler go? Measuring ruler, not like Tiny Napoleon. Sorry, that was a bad joke. Like I said, I just moved everything recently, so I'm still in that process of... Oh, here we go. Finding everything. I have this kind of cigar box. I'm using almost like a ready box. But it's not ready. Constantly not ready. Hey, if you're new here, if it's your first time here, consider heading up to the top of the page there and hitting the follow button. Depending on what you're watching it on, I don't know where the follow button is on everything. And you can be notified of all of our other streams. Besides doing Guild Artisan live crafting, I run Cult of Personality, a D&D 5e Tomb of Horrors game on Mondays. And I also, starting this Sunday, am hosting guest DM Marquise. Will be running his own game for 7 weeks called The Last 7 Days right here on the channel. And possibly tonight as a soft launch, but definitely going forward at least once a week, possibly more than that. We're going to do Mini Terrain Domain Plays Video Games. I'm going to start streaming some D&D, Tales from Candlekeep, Tomb of Annihilation. I'm going to pick up, what is it called? Baldur's Gate. Maybe play some Fortnite, though I suck at that game. Yeah. So if that interests you, hit the follow button. You can link your Amazon Prime account if you haven't done so already, and you get a free subscription. Doesn't cost you a thing, so you could subscribe if you wanted to. All right, that's my sales pitch. I got to figure out how we're going to do this. I have some cardboard that would be perfect for this, but it's too thin and it peels. I don't like, you know what? So I work in publishing for a day job, and I used to work at this publisher that we had a coffee supplier bring in these boxes of 18 2-ounce packets of Seattle's Best Coffee. And I learned very quickly that the boxes were excellent crafting material. It's this real thin, let's see if we can get a good look at that. It's this real thin corrugation. It's great for doing exactly what I'm trying to do, where I need some structure that's going to be solid when it's done, but I don't want a lot of thickness. So this cardboard's going to be perfect. The publishing company I work for now, we have in the warehouse, we have a box that all of the scrap cardboard goes into, and I make sure at least once a week to take a look at that. Okay, so we're going to start. We know, counting the width of the foam, I could go in deeper or I could go out wider. So I'm trying to decide if I want to create a false soffit that comes out a 1/2 inch. No, because the real roof has these like slats in it. So I think I want to keep that. So I think we're gonna go a 1/2 inch, but we're gonna gear it towards the inside. Make sure that's a 1/2 inch all the way around. Actually, this side, that's where the ramp is gonna be 3/4 of an inch. So let's see, that's on the back. So I'll do an arrow for the dice. So that's going to be 3/4 of an inch. And it should be 1/2 inch all the way around. For those of you new to the stream, this is what I call mumble math, as I talk through my process. Yep, we are 1/2 inch. Width all the way around. So, oh dang it, I hate this. It's going to be angles, like miter angles where they go in together. Should be 45, but I'm gonna, man. Let's see. So we're gonna do from there to there. Looking at, well, let's see. We already know we're doing a 1/2 inch. All right, so I'm gonna start with the front piece. So we got total width. Ooh, got the mute button in time. Sneezed. Okay, we are going to do 5.5 inches. There we go. Okay. Just checking something. Okay. We're going to do 5.5 inches. So I need to think about the direction I'm cutting this because I want the corrugation to provide firmness. If we go this way, you're not gonna you get flex. Or no, actually you get more flex going this way. Yeah, I think I'm gonna go that way. Let me see if this is actually a 1/2 inch. I think this is gonna work if I just use the width of this. That's a factory edge that I'm lining up with. All right. Oop, that wasn't cool. All right. I like to use this T-square ruler as a straight edge. So it's got a thick edge to it. There we go. This is not like my self-healing mat. I feel like this mat's going to get torn to shreds. I thought it was self-healing. This may have been a bad expenditure of 16 bucks. All right, so using our edge down here, I'm going to I like to use the mat when I can to get some of my measurements. Mix up some tools here. Cut with the scissors. Alright, so what's that equation for finding the edge? I guess I could just measure it. I'm a dummy. I'm trying to decide. I think because I want stability on this. Let's see. If I go, these are 1/2 inch. So if I go half, oh yeah, dummy. All right, I just need another one of those. Sorry, more mumble math. All right, so I gotta think this through. That I might not want to do that. Well, I'm gonna need that for the face. It's gonna be longer. How can I try? Oh, I know. It's a 1/2 inch by a 1/2 inch. I'm such an idiot. This is the part when I'm not streaming, I'm actually thankful that I'm not streaming, because then nobody can see what the hell I'm doing. And how stupid I am when it comes to math and angles and all that whatnot. Alright, I don't know what the heck I'm doing. So, I know... Well, yeah, okay, that's what I need. So I take this long one, and we mark off... And let's see, we're going to halfway in it this way, and a half inch this way. So, yeah, okay. I think I got it. I was overthinking it. What I'm doing is I'm making marks every half inch. Along this other piece that I cut. Okay. Sorry about that. I should have muted before I did that. It's alright. Not even sure if anybody's here. Forgot to fire up the glue gun, so get our glue gun heating up. Move my coffee away from my glue gun or else I'm going to get burned. Alright, so I never plugged in my pencil sharpener. Alright. See, that would have been smart too. Yep. Unfortunately, when you're doing this kind of crafting. Oh, hey, Anna. Welcome. You weren't logged in, so you didn't get the notification, I guess. It's alright, we haven't done much. A little bit of mumble math. I'm making the support structure that the roof is going to be glued to that we talked about last week. So, this is some really riveting stuff. And that joke would have killed if I was working on some industrial stuff, making little rivets. I'll have to save that one. I'll use it again. Just laugh when you hear it. When I start working with the wood again, I'll make some board jokes. Whatever it takes. Alright, I need to... Don't freak out, but I'm gonna... Somewhere I have an actual hand sharpener. Not sure where it is. Don't freak out. I'm unplugging the lava lamp in the background for a minute. I'm not sure how to say your name. I want to say Night Witch. So that's what I'm going to say. Was that directed at me or Llama? Either way, the answer is yes, I think. I know I am in the... Sorry, I plugged it back in. No, I didn't. What happened? I plugged the pencil sharpener back in. Hold on. Hold on. There you go. Lava lamp's back in. You probably can't even see it behind me. I think it's just off camera. Bloop, bloop. I promise you it's there. It's right there. Alright, Night Witch. Who are you in AbTab? It's okay if you don't want to say. It's weird when people come in with... Oh, okay. Alright. Yeah, it's weird because everybody has all these different usernames on Twitch. Well, it's just, I guess, the same thing on YouTube and Twitter and whatever else, but not everybody wants to give up their anonymity, so I get that. I gave it up a long time ago. That sounded weird, like, oh, I'm not going to be anonymous anymore. I figure the NSA already leaked my information. No, that's not what I meant. I just decided somewhere along the line I went public with my profiles, and I figured if I'm going to be doing this stuff out publicly anyway, what's the point of pretending? Alright, I got short. Pretending that I'm somebody else. I'm still going to call you Night Witch, because that's what it looks like. And it sounds better than Nidge Twitch. I don't like the way that sounds. It doesn't roll off the tongue. Okay. So, right here I made a bunch of lines. Where'd my other piece? Okay, there they are. So, alright. That's the end of the stream. We made lines. I'm kidding. The next part is to turn these into triangles. And I don't think I actually said, but this is actually for the support structure of these little like faux gable things. I don't even know what to call them. This infrastructure that's going to be for the express purpose of giving the roof, a firm place to be glued to at the end. So I started to try to calculate out the angles, little Pythagorean theorem and mumble math, and then I was like, wait a minute. I already know it's a 1/2 inch by 1/2 inch, and then connect the dots. Nobody needs to actually know. I'm not an engineer. I'm not an architect. I don't need to know all that. The funny part is, in a couple years, my son could probably draft me plans for some of this stuff. He's actually going to college next year for architecture. Last year, he won actually this year, his senior year, or maybe it was junior year, I don't remember. But he won first place in the state for a design contest for a house he designed. So, sorry, a little braggadocio there for you. You've built an entire pyramid. Quite sure you're some sort of architect. Nah, I just fake it till I make it. If you were following Mini Terrain Domain, or if you went to the Mini Terrain Domain Facebook page, about 2 years ago, back when I started building the pyramid, you'll see that I actually had to query my fan base for help with the math on figuring out because I needed the angles. I needed the angles that the corner joints, similar to what I'm going to run into with this, but I needed all the angles to match up in order for the interior dimensions to be a certain space. I don't know. I actually built the superstructure, and then had to tear it all apart because the corners weren't lining up properly. And I was agonizing over it. I didn't know what angle to do it at. And it was actually, somebody pointed out a tool online that was quite helpful for that. I actually had one person that sent me a picture. They actually calculated the angle out by hand, doing long math and calculations on paper, and they got by hand the same angle that somebody found a tool that you just plug in the dimensions, and it will give you what you're looking for. So I knew that I had a certain base width for the pyramid, and I knew that I had the height that I wanted it to be. And that's what was throwing me off. And I still wound up with problems with the exterior of the pyramid where things didn't quite line up, that I'm hoping to be able to cover some of that up with when I do the reclad it. It's always going to look like it separates into 3 sections. I'm just not going to be able to do anything about that. But I want to put this new cladding on, and I want to put some neodymium, however you say that, magnets in there to help hold it in place. One of the things I never did for that is, and I'm going to do this when I get it on the base, is for storage purposes and transport purposes, I've always wanted to build a wooden crate that looks like something from Raiders of the Lost Ark, and that the pyramid would be stored in that. Neodymium. Yeah. I think for years I used to pronounce it as neomodium. I have this thing where with words like that I just don't actually I don't bother to look close at how it's spelled, and I just start pronouncing it a certain way in my head. And then when I have to say it, I'm like, oh shit, I don't know how to say that. And then my wife makes fun of me for mispronouncing words. For some reason, I pronounced Jack Kerouac as Jack Kerouac once, and she gave me a hard time about that for a long time. Okay, so there's our squares. One of these days, I've talked about, if people subscribe to the channel or whatever, and this channel starts making a little bit of money, or people donate or whatever, I want to put that money back into the channel. And one of the things I would love to get in the future is a laser cutter for cutting foam and wood, and then I could design some of this kind of stuff on in Photoshop, send it to the printer, and have these all printed out and just punch out. Alright, I need to check before I go cutting a bunch of these. I want to make sure my angles are going to be decent. Yep, that's perfect. So I'm thinking, yeah, we'll cut that. Then we'll start hot gluing them in place. And the hot glue is actually going to help with the structure a lot as well. This is just one of them. So watching me measure and cut all of these little triangles is not quite going to be as tedious, at least not under my old way it would have been, when we get to the shingling part. Though I'm not individually cutting shingles by hand in this fashion. I have a way that I'm going to show you with the Proxon cutter. Maybe we'll even do that tonight, just as a change of pace after doing some of this. Speaking of tonight, as a reminder, the Guild Artisan was originally scheduled for Thursdays and Sundays, but for the next 7 weeks, guest DM Marquise will be running a game on this channel at 8 p.m. Eastern called The Last 7 Days. That is a Cryfoth playtest for Dice on Ice. And actually the creators of Cryfoth themselves, Megan and Connor, will be playing in that game. And Megan also plays in my Jolt of Personality, I should say our Jolt of Personality game that we run on Monday nights on the channel here. So I've moved the second slot of Guild Artisan to Tuesdays from 7 to 10. So you'll be able to catch me doing the same thing next Tuesday. Yes, 1 of 4. I realize now that before I do all this gluing and stuff, I got to figure out these. I think if I just do 45s, I should be good. And what I'm talking about is for the corners where these got to go together. I'm just not sure. Actually, this isn't as critical as the pyramid, so it doesn't matter if they don't line up quite perfectly. So, I got to do that real quick. I don't know if you can hear that sound in the background. My teenagers are being very loud in the living room. Apparently watching TV is a loud endeavor. Okay. So, hey, this has handy angles on it already. So, if I go, oh yeah, that'll work perfectly. I don't know if you can see that. I'm just using the 45-degree angle that's already on the cutting mat, lining up my ruler, and then I screwed this up before. Do it this way for the other side. I just got to make sure I also don't reverse it when I go to put the triangles in. They got to go on the correct side. Okay. Let's get rid of these. And then we'll just set this up on the thing so I understand what I'm doing. Yeah. So this is going to sit here like this. So then this piece actually needs to be smaller. But that will go straight vertical. Okay, so let's do that. Yeah, that's definitely true. Everything's a contact sport for teenagers, especially boys. Well, my daughter just turned 15 recently, and she's gotten louder with her age. Okay, so this is going to be interesting. I never really discussed or planned how far apart these would be. I think we'll be okay to put them here on the ends. So that shouldn't be a problem. And then oh, I know why they're yelling. They're playing Fortnite in there, I think. Playing some video game. Okay, that's weird. Stupid. Alright. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't matter. That could totally work, but my analness is half of your home filled with your creations. I actually, a lot of my stuff doesn't fill out into the house. I have, so I have, let's see if I can do this. You can see behind me on the shelf, there's a dice tower right here, an early dice tower. There's a Harbinger fighter ship that I made. There's a beholder and a purple worm that I made. A couple statues that I'm going to show a tutorial on. So there's a handful of things up here. The drawers behind me are filled with a bunch of miniatures. I do have in the living room, though I'm going to be moving them possibly to this shelf over here, a couple of ships that I built. So, sorry, I'm not looking at the camera because I'm looking at what I'm pointing at on the screen. Yeah, symmetry, all caps. Yeah, that's my deal. I have to have symmetry. It doesn't have to be that way in terms of the internal structure requirements, but for my internal mental structure, yeah. So it's 4.5. So the middle is at 2.25, which then leaves us with 2.25 on either side. So if I go to 1 1/8 and 1 1/8, that gives us 5 pieces. I really feel like I want to err on the side of caution, but I know it's not necessary. Fargonaut, yes, welcome. The sacred D&D texts. A lot of my layout here was based on the fact that I wanted my D&D books to be visible behind me. A little bit of cred, I guess. But also because if I need to, I can quickly reach back there and grab something for reference. Okay, let's go back to this. I gotta figure this. I gotta come up with a attachment up top here so that I can pull the camera down closer when I want to show close-ups. Or get a third camera on a GorillaPod. Alright, I don't need to go any further. So here's what I'm going to do. I'm just going to start gluing. Like I said, the hot glue is actually going to also be a part of the stability here. And because this is all interior hidden stuff, it just doesn't matter if it's sloppy on the inside. So that part's going to be pretty easy. Which position is this one going to sit in? Oh, wait, I'm having a hard time visualizing exactly. Oh, sorry. I think we talked about that right before you got here. So this is the front of the dice tower. So it's actually going to sit right here. And then the others will go around here, and we'll have like a short section of angles here. And that's what is going to determine the ultimate height of our roof based on these angles. And it's going to be more mumble math, I'm sure. That one's got to be a little more precise. But this is ultimately what's going to make it so that I can glue the roof firmly. Oh, you mean which side of the actual piece? Yeah. You were trying to keep an eye on to make sure I wasn't gluing in the wrong direction, weren't you? Yeah, that's why I had mentally thought that the short side of this piece needs to have the triangle back towards it. That's why I love you guys, always looking out. Any ideas, Anna, on a name? Did we come up with a name? We talked last week about coming up with a name for people that watch the show. I think somebody said something about beardlings or beardos. I think DM Scotty uses crafters. I just call y'all internets. Like weirdos. I don't know if you guys can see that flicker of the lights or hear that click, but that's my heater. I think it's why not the name Bob? That's funny. I think it is I don't think, I know because I'm looking up on this app. Emo is a guilty pleasure of mine, don't judge. Don't go licking any metal poles tonight, a-hole. It's 29 degrees Fahrenheit right now with a low of 24. Feels like 18. And right there, just on the other side of this monitor, is the outdoors, the other side of my porch wall. And this is not an insulated porch. So it gets chilly out here, but I have a space heater. If it got stupid cold, I actually have a second space heater. And I just burned my finger. Hot glue burn. I'm really happy with how firm that glue slop is holding these triangles. Yeah, you can see behind me the outside what do you call it, the like siding from before the porch was built on. We've been here for actually 20 years this year. This year will mark 20 years since I got out of the Army. Honorable discharge. And that same year, while I was still in Bosnia, actually, my wife got us the house. We've been here ever since. And so's this porch. All right. Only burnt one finger. Domainers. Good work. I think I joked about calling people minions last week. Dominions. Dominions. Hey, mini terrain dominions. I don't know. As I say it, it sounds lame. Alright, well that went on surprisingly straight. And what's interesting about this is, like I said, the interior sloppiness doesn't matter. And even if it's not, perfectly calibrated angles, it doesn't matter, because ultimately if it creates a slight unevenness in the roof, that would work for a weathered kind of rooftop, with little sags and stuff in it. All right, so now this piece that I cut down goes from there to there. So we just need to put hot glue on each of these little spots. This is the second one of these hot glue guns that I bought for, I think they're like $10. It's an AdTech 2-temp that I got at Walmart actually. The one I had before had a rubber tip on it, and I think that one, ow, snigger frostin' little lip pop, snooty doo doo, razzle, frazzle. I like to keep my streams relatively family friendly, so you'll get some Home Alone style swearing from me. What do you say? Fill the gaps with glue. I like the way you're thinking, but also that's a lot of hot glue. This son of a... Oh, you bastard. See, that wasn't a nice swear. It wasn't quite squaring up how it was supposed to. All right. Okay. And I don't think I need to do anything extra. Actually, the inside of this is possibly going to be hit. Off topic, did you write any products online like supplements for 5e? Been spending too much money on supplements, but totally worth it. It helps the content creators, and I've got some nice stuff. Bought Gothnog's products recently. Yeah, Critical Hit puts out some great stuff. I don't know if you saw their Wild Magic tarot cards. Those are pretty cool. I don't think they've officially released it. But, no, I've been... Game design and writing supplements is weirdly not something I'm super into, but I've had requests for several of the games that I've run, particularly Tomb of the Mummy Lord, and I've started writing it. Weirdly, I started out wanting to be a writer for years, and I've written a lot of short fiction and nonfiction pieces, but nothing really published. And my wife used to be a crafter, like scrapbooking and all this kind of stuff. And then about 4 or 5 years ago, we kind of shifted where I started doing crafting and she started writing, and she's a self-published author now. You can actually go out on Amazon right now and buy her books if you like young adult or Christian romance. And anyway, she's recently offered to help me with the writing of my supplements. In that, if I just tell her, basically tell her the stories, she'll capture it all, and then we can work on getting the mechanics in place and fine-tuning it. So eventually, I will release Tomb of the Mummy Lord as a 5e supplement. And then I'd kind of like to do something with Gorillas in Their Midst, a pulp game I ran. Maybe something with the Affairs of Dragons. I'm starting a new game series next Friday that'll be here on the channel called Wizards at Large. It's a world ruled by illithids, mind flayers. And the wizards, all magic users are illegal. They're outlawed. And so that's what the story is. They're wizards at large. They're outlaws. I might write something like that. Hey, it's Granny Carol. Hey, Carol, welcome. I heard of some authors using software where they use audio and just talking to it like a recorder. Yeah, excuse me. There's one from years ago called, I think it was actually called Dragon. But it's never been perfect, and it's not going to be able to stop and ask me, hey, wait, do you mean this or that? Or all right, see, this is where I'm going to start to mess this up. Oh, no, I won't. Maybe I will. No, I won't. I might. I probably will. I'm not going to measure this. I'm just going to trace it. Because of all these uneven edges and stuff, if I just do it this way, it's just easier. I'm going to mark that. I'll mark that. And then you know, it's kind of weird. I actually had somebody I posted to another DM on Twitter about, not direct message, but another person who runs games, another dungeon master. I posted the promo poster I did for my Affairs of Dragons Tarask Destroyer of Worlds game, and several of her followers liked that poster art I did and were asking if that was something they could, if there was a supplement they could buy. And then I got a comment on Twitter, no, on YouTube, on the actual game that I ran, that somebody watched my game, took notes, and then ran it for their own home group. So that was really cool. Yeah, it's easier if I have my wife do it. She's going to be my text-to-speech person. Okay, so let's see if I screwed this up. So as long as I did this correct, then yeah, that should work. So then when the other angle comes together, it's also 45. That should work good. All right, so I can fill gaps with glue and stuff like that. You can always message me, Carol. All right, this is going to get sloppy, and I am almost assuredly going to burn myself with the hot glue gun. Almost did it right there. Definitely about to do it right here. I'm going to just skip over my thumb. Ow. See? This is, I feel like there's a better way to do this. It's almost like, oh man, there's something like rubber thimbles. I feel like if I had a little more awareness of the math going into this, that I could actually make this as a single piece, score the cardboard, and just fold it. But the time it's going to take me to figure that out is longer than the time it takes me to just do it the way I'm doing it. Although it's taken me close to an hour, though I'm talking and showing stuff, to do this piece. So here's kind of a look at the side. We've got all the triangle pieces in there. This is our backing piece, front. This is the angle piece. And that is actually going to sit kind of flush here, so we don't even have to worry about that showing up. I'm actually going to wait until I get all these pieces together, I think, before I glue it on. So that's going to sit here. And so the sole purpose. I think there's a lot more hang. Considering I measured that. Oh, I know, because these pieces stuck over. Anyway, it's hanging over a lot more than I expected. If you can see that. But that's fine. Anyway, the sole purpose was that this surface here is for the roof pieces. The roof's going to set down on top of that. And it has a place to be glued. So, I kind of want to glue this in place right now. I mean, really, is there a reason not to? I'm going to wait until I have at least one more piece. Yeah, I'm going to wait. Because if I do it now, then I have to rip it off. And then it's a lot more damaging. Jeez, Carol, with the peer pressure. Yeah, I mean, I could do that. Yeah, I'm going to wait. I'm going to wait. Whoa, I just almost stuck my finger in that. That's looks like a pin. Kind of sticking through. Thought it was sticking out the end because I just dragged my hand across there. Alright, so let's move that out of the way. Alright, I'm out of coffee. It's time for some, what do we got? Natural Lime LaCroix. Carol, I'm going to tell you, still no solid plans yet, but I'm thinking about another campaign. I'm thinking about when and how I'm going to resurrect the Lost Mine of Phandelver campaign. Yeah, I know. You're like, how many campaigns are you in, Carol? I really want to be a player in a campaign. And I'm thinking about offering up one night of the week for kind of like Marquise. I'm hosting Marquise in his game, Gryfoth game. Thinking about doing that, offering up the channel for a DM to DM a game that I play in. Because I run a campaign, but I don't play in any campaigns. And it wouldn't necessarily... I mean, I'd love to play in a D&D. I'd love to play in a D&D campaign. I'm just going to say that. It doesn't have to be, but... well, let's see. I got to catch up on this. Pete favorite sleeping time to you. I just want... I think it would be fun to play with your son for sure. So let me catch up on a couple things you guys were saying. One, Zach probably won't play in the game, Carol, because he's getting ready to graduate and he's focused on everything for getting ready for going to college next year. So probably not going to happen. But, and Anna, I am 100% going to run the Pseudo Dragon, Fairy Dragon, Affairs of Dragon game sometime in the next couple of months. And I already have a spot reserved for both you and Carol, even though I haven't put an interest post up. But I will message you and let you know. Yeah, I keep forgetting, Carol, that you run Pathfinder. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but I've also noticed some buzz going around about a second edition of Pathfinder. So I'm really curious, since Pathfinder was kind of built off of D&D, and I never really played during the 3rd edition and 3.5 days, and I've only ever played like one game of Pathfinder, I have very little very little knowledge about it. But if you run Pathfinder and you ever run some playtest games, I'd like to get in on that. I'm sure some people in the group, in the AbTab group, will be running some play tests. So, speaking of AbTab, I've not promoted them thoroughly yet. If you're new here, though I think everybody here is probably from that group, but if you happen to be catching this later or whatever, be sure to do yourself a favor. Head over to facebook.com/absolutetabletop. I need to put up a placard for the promo stuff. Head over there. Check out the Absolute Tabletop official group on Facebook. That's where I run a lot of games from. A lot of people that are joining me here are from that group. And it's just a great group. It's run by the guys who I ran the Tomb of the Mummy Lord for, Absolute Tabletop. Matt Click, Tim James Carney, and Michael Barker. There we go. Gotta check the length on this side, because these sides are a little bit longer. I think it's... How is that possible? Well, it might be because I squared everything up. Alright. 5.5. I thought those sides were longer. Well, the beauty of these pieces is I don't have to square them up. Alright, so how did I do this last time? I know what I did. That's an extra for later. I went down here to use the Matt's ruler. I'm trying to keep an eye on these marks. I feel like this mat is not, well, it looks cool. It's not as good at healing, and it's gonna get destroyed really quick. I wanted something nicer looking though, because my other mat is, where is my other mat? Oh, it's back there. It's covered in paint, and I can't even see some of the lines. I might just have to get another one of those. Use one for streams and one for crafting and one for cutting and one for painting. Good Lord. Okay, remember what I'm doing here. 5.5 and 11. And how did I figure? I think I just did 45s, didn't I? Yeah, that's what I did. So, oops, let's do the actual 45-degree angle. The plan is, as usual, the plan was, it still kind of is, as usual, to go for the, till 10 o'clock. But I worked a full day. I had to stop and get groceries. And, I got home literally and got ready, pretty much got home and changed my clothes, made some coffee, and came out here and started streaming, which is fine because I love doing that. But my eyes are already getting kind of tired. So we're going to see how things go. I may end up cutting it short at 9 o'clock. But we'll see. I might just keep going. Might power through. Because And part of that is because I want to do a soft launch test of... No, I haven't eaten dinner yet. That's the other thing. And I'm starting to get a little hungry. I had a pretty, not a, I had a filling lunch today, so. Alright, just cutting the measurements on these. Does that make sense? Cutting the measurements. Yeah, I guess it works. Alright. Back to what we were doing before. That's what I should have done before. I should have cut these before. It's alright. So, I think this was 4.5. So that's 2 1/4 and 1 1/8 and 1 1/8. You drawing a squirrel? Thanks for keeping me company while I'm mumble mathing and gluing cardboards. You know, it's weird. I mean, this is a Dice Tower commission. I'm making this for somebody. Somebody's paying me to make this for them. So, in a way, it's a job, but even not getting paid to do this stuff, I just enjoy doing it. The art and craft of creating. It's puzzle, problem solving. It's taking mundane materials like cardboard and scraps of wood and craft sticks and imagination and making a thing out of it that did not exist before. Just like crafting a story or creating music. It took me a long time to come to terms with the label artist. To be able to say, and actually Barker, during the process of the Ellington Estate Dice Tower, Barker was very instrumental in helping me to accept that mantle. Barker and I have both talked on streams previously, so I won't get into it too much, but the Ellington Estate Dice Tower that I created for him, the process of creating that dice tower was cathartic, tied up in a lot of emotion and my own personal things. And it had some important significance for Barker as well in relation to the character of Aaron Dice Ellington that he played in the Season 1 Provokers game. And some other things for him personally. So he briefly showed it in the Tomb of the Mummy Lord stream, but he uses it to roll his dice in all the Provokers games. I think he actually featured it as it kind of tied into the game in one of the Season 2 games because he plays Holly Rast, who was the son of Duke Ellington, Aaron Dice Ellington, and I'm behind on my Season 2, so I haven't seen it. I'll have to consolidate some of the pictures, and in a future stream, I'll show off the pictures. You could actually go to at @MTD_Jake, my Twitter page, click on media, and kind of thumb back through them and find some of the pics. Or you could head over to the photos section of facebook.com/mini-terrain domain. See what I did there? I segued right into a promotional piece. While you're there, follow me on Twitter, click like on Facebook, go to the YouTube channel and subscribe there. I'm trying to, I don't know why I haven't done it yet, but I'm going to be simulcasting content to YouTube here soon. so I can ensure that that audience there gets to see everything, and maybe some of them will come join us in the live streams. I'll just have a couple of chats to monitor. Squirrel with a spear for Philip Maddie. I'm going to assume it's related to a game, but knowing Philip, it could be just a squirrel with a spear. I've got one piece, this one triangle that stuck its butt out. And it's just in such the way that I can't quite get to it. Guess what? Rip it out of there, put a new one in. It was far enough out that it would have screwed up the back plate when I went to glue it in place. It was hanging off the back. It's better to have one too far in than too far out. Okay. Let that sit for a second. One of several settings or one of several squirrels. Hey, Tomiko, this is live. You're not in a previous episode. Though I'm ending the stream right now. Now that you showed up. I'm just kidding. I'm not. I still got to figure out what I'm going to do. I got to check some licensing information and copyright stuff, but I'd love to have a nice mellow music bed for us. I mean, I do have the music from the beginning, but that's only 7 minutes long. We don't want to listen to that 9 times an hour. So, but I got to look into make sure I can have some royalty-free music for the stream. I have this tendency to just hold a piece and just kind of fiddle with it. But it's part of my process, I've learned. It's not very compelling on stream, so I need to iron out that process, I guess. All right. It's just like some people don't understand when you're writing, or even like sometimes at work when I had to give a presentation, and I have no problem getting in front of people and doing stuff, talking and presenting and stuff. So a work presentation, no big deal. But my day job is that a big part of my job is I handle all the metadata for a publishing company. That's all the information about a book that you see on Amazon.com and everywhere else. And it's a pretty involved process. And interestingly, I got to record all 3 screens and multiple windows and tabs and record my process with OBS and show that as a demonstration during this presentation. And I built a PowerPoint, all that good stuff. But part of the process when getting started is literally I will sit in my office with a pencil in hand, or I might just sit at my desk and do this. Staring out the window or staring at the wall. That's part of the process. It's the same thing with crafting. I actually have... I don't know where it went. Excuse me. Zach and I were tossing it around when we were cleaning in here. But I have a little foam ball that I got the idea from Acquisitions Incorporated. Actually, not Ac Inc. From Penny Arcade. From Mike Krahulik and Jerry Holkins. They have a thinking ball. And I sometimes use that, just kind of tossing it around. And how did I do this last time? Oh, almost glued in the wrong spot. That's why. Got ahead of myself. So we're going to do just these backing pieces. hit those all with some of this hot glue. This glue is so hot. Sorry, I don't know what that was. Let's see, last time I got pushed up at a weird angle. So before it sets, we're going to get that lined up just right. There we go. Geekness. Just don't glue. What did I do? Oh, I know what I did last time. I hit some glue along. Oh, that feels like a spider web. That's gross. Ah! So, Tamiko, are you actually home now? I know sometimes my stream starts while you're on the bus heading home. Presumably you're home with a glass of wine in hand or something, and all right. Steak with mushrooms and bacon. Yum. What kind of steak? Like what cut? Man, I told you I hadn't eaten yet. No, you're not home, or no, you're not. Oh, I guess it's only 5:30 for you, so you're probably on the bus now. Top of round, man. I'll tell you what. Talking about going to the grocery store, getting all boomhauer there. Last weekend I was going to buy some steak, and my preferred cut is New York strip. What the heck happened that steak costs $10 to $12 a pound now? Good Lord. I was going to buy 4 steaks to cook up for the family, and just the steaks alone were going to cost me almost $30. I wound up buying a bunch of other stuff and not steaks for the same $30. Look at Carol the hipster, waiting to hear if I'm going to get some grass-fed Scottish Highland beef soon. Yeah, you're talking about getting it in bulk. My mom used to live not far from here, in a their property backed up to a Angus farm, and they used to go in. They used to get a half a cow, and then she would give me the previous year's leftovers that she hadn't used. So I always made out like a bandit getting free Angus steaks and stuff. How did I do? I think this is what I did last time, isn't it? Yeah, oh snap. Did I screw that up? You were supposed to keep an eye on me and make sure I didn't screw this up. I may have screwed this up, but I may not have. Alright, so that's the face. And this is supposed to be the right side. Nope. I did. I put that stupid... all the... yeah, because it's supposed to be like this. How am I going to fix this? There's got to be an easy way to fix this. There is. Okay. I'm going to try to do this without destroying the piece. This blade's getting to... I found my number 5 knife. Fire. Alright, so I think in the end it may not be worth it to try to salvage it. I wonder. So I think what screwed me is putting all this hot glue along the back. Oh, it's because I was jibber-jabbing, not paying attention. All right. It's probably easier to just rebuild this, but I feel like I can fix this. Ow. So, yeah, this is pretty sloppy looking. Really all I need to do, though, this might still work. Alright, I'm just going to scrap this because it's getting really messy. Alright, well, that was 30 minutes down the drain. Why is it taking me so long to make these pieces? Because I'm talking. No, hold on. Because that's still going to be... I mean, this is all hidden. Nobody's going to see any of this. Screw it. I'm not wasting all that time. It won't be for nothing. Continue on. Without me. No! I won't leave you behind. We came all this way together. We're going to finish it. And welcome to my psyche. But I don't feel like I have to apologize because we're all role players and make-believers. Makers of believe. Makers of believe. I'm getting loopy. That's what I do when I get tired and hungry. You know, that's kind of a thing that I've done ever since I was a kid, though. With my imagination, is I would just quote these random scenes that I would just invent. They're completely out of context, triggered by something, and you know, I've been doing that since I can remember, and you know, 40 plus years later, I'm still doing it. So, yeah, no apologies, man. It's one of my favorite things about D&D. I was just talking with somebody yesterday, somebody at work. I don't know how we got to talking about it, but she asked me something, and 30 minutes later was probably regretting it. But I showed her, you know, a little bit of what I do with Twitch and YouTube and all that stuff, and I was saying how, yeah, I fixed that. Look at that. It's sloppy on the inside, but I fixed it. Anyway, I was talking about how I've always wanted to be an actor. I used to want to be a broadcaster, have my own radio station. I used to do these, hey, it's, what did I used to call myself? Big Jake, I think. Hey, this is Big Jake. You're listening to Big Jake on WJWN. All the hits, all the time. I don't know, stupid stuff like that. But now I'm a content producer. And I get to produce whatever the heck I want. And when I play D&D and I'm a DM or a player, I get to act. I get to play inhabit these roles. I love our hobby. I love our hobby. See, there we go. That makes sense. One of the other things I told her, though, is it's kind of funny because there was a time, even just a few years ago, maybe about 10 years ago or less, that I would have kept this part of my life secret. Like, I would never have talked about it at work. Certain family I wouldn't talk to about it. Not because I was ashamed. Well, I guess because I was ashamed because of the stigma, being a nerd. But I don't know. I reached a point where I just decided, you know what? I'm an adult, and I like what I like. You know, people have a career that their job is to create these games. People like Chris Perkins and Jeremy Crawford and Chris Lindsay and all the folks that work at D&D and Todd Kenrick and co over at D&D Beyond, and their job is to create this stuff, and they're all older people. Kate Welch, you know, is new. Matt Click, you know, and the guys. I mentioned Matt Click because he's doing freelance work for Wizards, but their job is to create stuff for D&D. So why should I be ashamed that I play that stuff? And more it's acceptable anyway. So, but it's just so much fun to explain to people, especially people that I know just don't get it, what I do. And it's even more so now that I'm broadcasting here on Twitch. My boss kind of gives me a weird sideways look from time to time, but part of it I just let him know, you know, hey, this is the thing I do on the side, and don't let it interfere with work. But I feel like I almost screwed that up too. Oh, anyway, more jibber jabber. Yeah, I feel like that got wider because of the screw up. Why didn't that stick up so high? I might have to trim those. Anyway, the great thing about you, I just figured out what this is. This is therapy. You guys are like my therapist. I don't get feedback. Well, yeah, I do, because you guys talk to me in the chat. So, yeah, you guys, guess what? You're my therapist. No, that's all right. I won't dump problems on you guys, but I just like sharing. I almost had a Sharon joke in there. I like Sharon. She's good people. I actually have a cousin named Sharon. How did I do this? Oh, that's right. I almost burned myself. That's how I did it. You gotta take yourself right to the edge. Get so close you can feel the heat of the glue. But don't burn yourself. Stop right before you get to that point, if you can. Oh no, I'm gonna burn myself. I'm setting out to burn myself. Hot glue scars, that's a mark of the hobby. See, I'm doing it again. Okay, my stomach is growling now. Not eating dinner was a mistake. Especially since right before I came out here, my wife was making stuff for the kids. There's so much hot glue burning me right now. Ouch. If anyone told the people I work with that I play whimsical games like D&D, they would never believe it. They'd be like, she's not capable of fun. I don't believe that, Tamiko. I work in a fast food as a student. Every time I try to explain what role-playing is, well, people don't seem to understand. But honestly, I'm surprised at how many people were genuinely interested in not mocking me. Would that be a dex check? You'd think that would be a wisdom check, Anna. To not burn myself in the first place. Alright. Let's see how these go together. I better mark these again. It's probably not as critical that they're in the exact spot, but I think I might actually cut the stream a little bit short because I'm starting to get a headache from the fact that I haven't eaten dinner yet. I'll remember that for future streams. Alright, let's see. So that's going to go there. Don't forget it's expertise, so it's double proficiency. Regardless of what I roll, though, it doesn't seem to matter because I'm still failing on those checks. Alright, I'm going to be able to squeeze those into position. I'm going to have to manhandle this a little bit. Because I think... No, you know what? I think what I might be able to do is if I glue this all in position like this, as I finish each piece, see how I kind of want to keep going. Because if I glue each piece at the corner like this, just dump a bunch of hot glue in there and seal it up, then I can just take the whole thing, drop it in position, just kind of center it up. If there's a tiny bit of overhang, it doesn't matter. I can actually edge that with some the matchsticks. If I do it here, I'm trying to force them in the position on the edges, and that's what's going wrong. But I'm also worried. I'm not really worried about any of it, really. It's just ugly right here. I didn't want any of this to show. I mean, that's really ugly. Like I said, none of this is supposed to show. Although, oh, you know what I could do? I could actually, just as an extra step, I could get some cardstock and wrap these. Just go around once with cardstock and create a seamless connection that I could kind of... I wonder how that would look. I feel like I'm overthinking it again. I'm going to do this instead. Fill in the gaps here. Alright, so there's the right one. There's the front one. This one doesn't have as much of the gaps. Okay. Yeah, it's because it's upside down. Just trying to cool that glue a little bit quicker. I hit this side a little bit. All right. So we're just about the 2-hour mark. You Snickers. You overthink your builds when you're angry. Yeah, my eyes, I'm straining a little bit. Just lesson learned. Next time I'll delay the stream a half hour and eat some food ahead of time. One thing I am going to do, I want to get in the practice of doing this on my streams as well. So, because I'm terrible about when I craft leaving behind a mess. And they say that a messy workspace oh, come on, scissors. There we go. They say that a messy desk or workspace is a sign of a creative mind. This is a crafting stream on creative, so that goes without saying. But I do other streaming as well. I play games out here. I'm going to be doing game streams for D&D game streams as well as video games. So I need to get in the habit of taking care of my tools. Now, I don't need to do this while I'm on stream, but I'm still kind of talking to you guys. I need like a little thing here for my knives, kind of like cup thing to keep them out of the way. Keep them in this little box for right now. But I can put these, make sure the glue's dry. That would suck to glue this to it. I'm going to set these right on the little shelves where they go. We'll finish those up on Tuesday. But one of the things I want to do here, this is what I'm really focusing on. I've got scrap pieces in here. These are the ones that were tore out. That's not one. That I need. I used to have a Yahtzee rolling tray that I would put stuff in. Here's what I'm looking for, right here. This is a Go box, or I don't know what to call it, Ready box, a Whip box. If I can keep all my pieces of what I'm working with right there, all in one handy dandy spot. And you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to stick the actual dice tower in there. This is a piece that we're actually going to use that we cut, so we'll stick that in there. And there we go, nice and neat for the next time. So sorry, it's a little bit shorter this time, but I need to eat, and I'm not sure if I'm going to do I might do a video game stream later. Probably just do a short one, but yeah. So thank you for joining me for as long as you have. Just a reminder that Guild Artisan is now on Tuesdays and Thursdays for the next couple months. We may keep it that way, or we may move it back to Thursdays and Sundays. We'll see. I'd actually, if I expand anything on the channel, it's this. Things to look forward to. Tomorrow, over on the Dice on Ice YouTube channel, I will be playing in a Kryphoth playtest for their Kryphoth setting. Let's see. Starting Sunday at 8 p.m. right here on twitch.tv/mini-terrain-domain. Guest DM Marquise will be running a Kryphoth playtest called The Last 7 Days. What else? On Monday, Jolt of Personality, Tomb of Annihilation. One of the players will be missing for that, but we will have 3 out of 4 players. The next Tuesday is Guild Artisan. Wednesday will be the first official Mini Terrain Domain Plays Video Games stream, where I'll be playing Tomb of Annihilation from Tales of Candlekeep. And if you like video game streams, I just might, in the very near future, be giving away a copy of Tales from Candlekeep, Tomb of Annihilation on Steam. And then Thursday is Guild Artisan, and that's the next week. So thank you, everybody, for sticking around. Tamiko, sorry you came in kind of late, and I'm not going for another hour. But thanks anyway. Thanks to Night Witch, Nicholas, thanks Anna, and Carol, and Fargonaut, was in here as well. Everybody that joined us and everybody that might be watching this later, thanks a lot. I've been Jake for Mini Terrain Domain, MTD Live, Guild Artisan, and as we always like to say when we head out of here, say it with me, Omitted.